Hey everybody, Home/Henry here, and in today's video, we're going hunting for ghost types in the Open Ultra League with two extremely spicy Pokemon, XL Lickilicky and the star of the show, XL Hyper Beam Ambipom. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Halcyon Wild, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now, Ambipom is a pure normal type Pokemon with the moveset of Astonish, Aerial Ace, and Hyper Beam. Ambipom definitely more of a Pokemon for fun than for climbing, but getting wins with it is an absolute riot. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's check out the team in action. Hopping to the first match, leading Giratina Altered into Shadow Poliwrath. Considering there are two normal type Pokemon in the back, it's very nice to catch the Poliwrath on the lead. The opponent is shielding up the first Dragon Claw, however, because they know that future charge attacks will do less damage after the Icy Wind debuffs are applied. Farming up, firing off the Dragon Claw, it's unlikely the opponent is wanting to double shield in this matchup, as Dragon Claw from Giratina neutrally does very little damage. So they've already shielded one move that doesn't do a lot of damage, they're probably not going to be shielding another. The Icy Wind is going to be shielded up by the Giratina, as Giratina is looking to try and make a play for switch advantage. The Dragon Claw is going to connect, getting the Poliwrath low. Giratina at another Dragon Claw. This will not be enough to knock out. The Dragon Claw is going to get Poliwrath deep into the red. This Icy Wind will not be able to knock out either, and the Giratina will be able to make it to a Dragon Claw. Giratina making it to the Dragon Claw, but it's a simultaneous knockout. And now a tough choice to make. Do you send in Lickilicky or the Ambipom? Choosing to send in Lickilicky, and the opponent is going to send in Swampert. So far, the opponent's team is extremely weak to an opposing Cresselia, so the hope is that their Cresselia counter is a ghost type, so that way the Ambipom can absolutely feast in the back. Body Slam is going to connect. That's not going to do a lot of damage to the Swampert, but the Licks are definitely making their presence felt. Opponent firing off another charge attack. It's the Earthquake. Lickilicky refusing to get knocked out. Able to withstand the damage. Fire off another Body Slam, and just like that, Swampert is deep into the red. Lickilicky making it to the Body Slam. Opponent choosing to overfarm a bit too much, and now they're going to be forced to commit a shield to preserve this energy. They're firing off a charge attack. That's perfectly fine. Letting the Lickilicky go, leaving it all up to Ambipom. Ambipom shielding up as Swampert fires off the charge attack. What is the final Pokemon for the opponent? And it's a Jellicent right on cue. There is the opponent's Cresselia counter, but they are not going to enjoy the spice that has been unleashed upon them in XL Ambipom. Opponent fires off the Surf. Surf does do a solid amount of damage as Ambipom is pretty attack weighted. Ambipom lands the next Aerial Ace. Ambipom getting very close. One more Astonish means that Ambipom is at a third Aerial Ace. The Surf not going to be enough to KO. Ambipom is going to get to fire off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace, a bait is called. That is a massive no shield by the Lickilicky, as Lickilicky is now going to be able to fire off the Body Slam. It's going to be charge attack priority Body Slam to the Dragon Claw, so the Lickilicky, understanding that it would lose charge attack priority, doesn't go for it. Instead, Lickilicky is going to go for the full farm down. Opponent is going to be sending back in the Skeledirge into the loaded Shadow Ball. The Shadow Ball is going to be shielded, and now it should be Ambipom time. No, the switch into the Giratina. Ambipom staying on the bench, and that means the Shadow Ball will hit for big damage, but the opponent, they have ABA ghost types, and now there's nothing to stop the wrath of Ambipom. Opponent forced to fire off energy here. Very comfortable no shield for the Giratina, as the Seed Bomb will not KO, and the Dragon Claw is going to connect. Dragon Claw is going to land, and now in comes Ambipom. Ambipom gets the Astonish farm down. Back in comes the Skeledirge. Very nice charge attack timing here, throwing 3 Astonishes to make sure that it's thrown right at the end of that Incinerate. Skeledirge continuing to farm up. Again, perfect charge move timing mechanics by the Ambipom. The Aerial Ace does not quite KO. Now the question is for the Ambipom, is it going to be able to withstand a Disarming Voice? Ambipom does not need to, as Astonish gets the KO. Hopping into the next match, leading Giratina Altered into Guzzlord. Definitely nice to catch the Guzzlord on the lead. Giratina tries to go for charge attack priority to the Dragon Claw, but since the opponent doesn't go for it, they get an entire Dragon Tail for free. We're now going to see a switch into the Lickilicky, trying to use the bulky Lickilicky as a damage sponge. The Crunch connects. Lickilicky able to withstand that damage, fire off the Body Slam. Body Slam will not be able to threaten a knockout, but it will deal some solid chip damage to the Guzzlord. Guzzlord continuing to farm. It has so much energy stored up here. Lickilicky able to absorb the Crunch. Thankfully, once again, Crunch does not get the debuff. Lickilicky firing off the Body Slam, and this one will be lethal. We see the Guzzlord committing the shield. Guzzlord looking for a farm down, but the Lickilicky will not be denied. The bulk coming through. The Body Slam picking up the knockout. In the back, they have Jellicent, and they are not going to be happy when they see XL Ambipom. These Astonishes adding up quite a bit. The opponent, of course, they're unable to go for Shadow Ball due to the normal typing. They're forced to go for the much less powerful Surf. Ambipom playing to charge attack priority. This Aerial Ace will not threaten a knockout. Aerial Ace, not the strongest move ever, and Ambipom does not get Team Tip attack bonus. Choosing to protect the Ambipom from the Surf. 3 hexes away. And we see a catch of the Surf onto the Giratina, saving energy on the Ambipom for later in the game. Giratina now going to be met with a Skeledirge. Skeledirge not going to appreciate the super effective Ancient Power. The Ancient Power does get no shielded, no boost for the Giratina. Opponent overfarms past the Shadow Ball, and that allows Giratina to make it to a Dragon Claw. That forces the shield, Skeledirge firing off energy, and this is a very comfortable no shield for the Giratina. The Disarming Voice picks up the knockout, but energy is stored on the Ambipom, able to fire off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace will pick up the KO. In comes the Jellicent, and the opponent concedes the match. Moving into the next match, picking up a very tough lead, Giratina altered into Shadow Alolan Sandslash. We see an immediate save switch into the Lickilicky, and the opponent is staying in this matchup, which is honestly definitely preferred, considering that the alternative is them switching out and saving the Sandslash for the Giratina later in the game. Lickilicky, no baits here, firing off the Shadow Ball. The Shadow Ball is able to connect. Lickilicky doesn't have the highest attack stat around, but that still does some okay damage. The opponent continues to spam out these drill runs. Lickilicky now just going for the Body Slam. This is resisted, but just trying to get whatever damage as possible. The opponent wants to protect the Sandslash. They end up using a shield, and honestly, that is very okay for the Lickilicky. The drill run does not KO, and the Lickilicky makes one final Body Slam. Go, Lickilicky, go. And Lickilicky is able to win switch advantage and shield advantage from the opponent. In comes Giratina. Giratina, it's running Shadow Claw, so it's going to be met with the Astonish Ambipom. Ambipom will be hit with the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw does a surprising amount of damage, considering that it isn't a very high base damage move, but of course, that's Ambipom. Ambipom, not known for its bulk. Ambipom gonna fire off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to connect into the Giratina. Ambipom continuing to farm, banking a ton of energy and making a catch onto the Giratina. The Dragon Claw is going to connect. In the back, it's Jellicent. A lot of people really liking to run those ghost types, and this double normal backline in the game so far has put in some nice work. Giratina continuing to farm and plays to a charge attack priority that it does not win. We see the shield on the Shadow Ball. Giratina does have some decent energy here that it will be able to threaten the Jellicent with. The Dragon Claw is going to be no shielded. Giratina continuing to farm, making it to another Dragon Claw, and the Shadow Claws have added up enough to the point where this Dragon Claw will come very close to knocking out. We see a farm up and a switch into the Ambipom, and Ambipom wins charge attack priority. This will pick up the knockout onto the Jellicent, denying Jellicent's energy. Opponent sends back in the Giratina, and the opponent is going to top left the match as the Aerial Ace is reached, and that is a good game. Picking up a dream lead in the next match, Giratina into Galvantula. Galvantula is completely walled. Opponent is going to save switch into Jellicent. Giratina farm it up. We see the switch into Lickilicky. Is that the Shadow Ball catch? That would be massive, and it is the Shadow Ball catch. So not only is there an amazing response to the Jellicent save switch, but catching the Shadow Ball means there's a ton of energy stored on the Giratina for later, and the opponent's energy was extremely inefficiently used. Firing off the Shadow Ball. This is super effective damage into the Jellicent. Opponent is going to no shield. That plus one more fast move is going to get the knockout. Back in comes Galvantula. Galvantula loves to get debuffs off before it takes damage, but it's getting outpaced due to the residual energy. That Body Slam connects. That does a lot of damage onto the Galvantula. Galvantula opting for a discharge instead of a lunge. Discharge hits slightly harder, hoping that it would be enough to farm down, but it is not. The Lickilicky will not be denied. The Body Slam is shielded. Opponent shields to preserve the Galvantula, but the Galvantula does absolutely nothing into the Giratina. In the back, it is Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz will be hit with the Ancient Power. Exo Mandibuzz is so bulky that even a super effective charge attack like Ancient Power just does absolutely nothing. Another Ancient Power is going to connect. Opponent is going to be firing off energy. It is going to be the Dark Pulse. The Dark Pulse connects, dealing big damage to the Giratina. Giratina making it to once again another Ancient Power, as due to the Ambipom running Astonish, it's not going to have a super fun time going up against the Mandy. Mandy firing off more energy. The Dark Pulse is going to be shielded. Giratina continuing to farm, firing off the Dragon Claw. The opponent does get a fast move through there. They're going to commit the shield. Giratina, at this point, you can just let go and let Ambipom sweep the day. The Aerial Ace does not get the knockout. Opponent goes for a switch into the Galvantula, potentially anticipating a switch out as they get the knockout with the discharge. They're firing off energy. We're going to see a shield from the Ambipom. And can Ambipom land the Hyper Beam? We have yet to see a Hyper Beam land. In comes the Mandibuzz, going for the Hyper Beam. They're firing off energy first. This Hyper Beam is nothing but bad manners, but I'm all for it. Opponent is going to connect with the Dark Pulse. It's Hyper Beam time, knocking Mandibuzz out of the skies. And that's a good game. Moving into the next match, leading Giratina into Skeledirge. Pretty nice lead. Opponent is going to save switch into the Guzzlord. Very nice charge move timing here, taking advantage of the fact that the opponent's switch does take a turn and firing off the Dragon Claw. But this matchup is quite uncomfortable if the Giratina is running the Shadow Claw, because the Guzzlord, due to that dark subtyping, means it's basically having no fast move pressure effect onto the opponent. Firing off another Dragon Claw. Opponent, now it's their turn to shield. Giratina continuing to farm. Guzzlord firing off energy. Giratina is going to double shield, committing a lot of resources to the Giratina, desperately trying to get rid of the Guzzlord. Guzzlord is going to double shield as well. Giratina is going to bank some energy. We now see the switch into the Ambipom. How much damage is Ambipom going to take here? Opponent goes for the Dragon Claw. That does a solid amount of damage. Opponent going to send in the Skeledirge. And unfortunately, Skeledirge is not a Pokemon where you can go for the Hyper Beam. That would be double resisted. Ambipom continuing to farm, making it to another Aerial Ace, getting some chip damage onto the Skeledirge. Skeledirge getting close to knocked out. They exit with a lot of energy, sending in the Lickilicky. The question is, did the opponent react in time? Did they go for the Shadow Ball? No, they did not. They went for the Disarming Voice. Lickilicky cannot get the farm down. Skeledirge is going to make it to a second charge attack. It is going to be another Disarming Voice. Lickilicky gets the full farm down, exiting with energy in the back. It's Cresselia, and Lickilicky is going to fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to hit for super effective damage onto the Cresselia as Lickilicky continues to farm. We see a switch and a catch onto the Giratina. Giratina catching the Moonblast. Lickilicky has to make it to another Shadow Ball. Farming up. Oh no, but the catch by the opponent. And that should be the nail in the coffin of this one. That is absolutely brutal. What a play by the opponent. Everything was looking good, but the opponent making a skill play in the endgame, catching the Shadow Ball onto the Guzzlord, and the Cresselia, I'm pretty sure, left with a move, and there it is. Back in comes the Cresselia. Cresselia avoiding a near disaster with the Shadow Ball and taking the win. Hopping to the final match, leading Giratina into Shadow Ampharos. While this is a pretty decent matchup for the Giratina, Ampharos does have a lot of play here. There's a reason why Ampharos is commonly used as a safe switch, and that's due to the fact that even if you're in a matchup like Giratina, Shadow Brutal Swings come very close to two-shotting. We're going to see a switch by the opponent into Mandibuzz. Opponent looked like they lagged there for maybe just a turn. The Ancient Power is going to connect, dealing some very solid damage, and we see a switch into the Lickilicky to absorb the energy from the Mandibuzz. It is the Dark Pulse from the Mandibuzz. Unfortunately, these licks just do absolutely nothing to the Mandibuzz, so Lickilicky not in an amazing spot, but at the very least, saved the Dark Pulse from connecting onto the Giratina. Lickilicky continuing to farm, and now going to begin the Body Slam spam, trying to slowly chip away at the HP of the Mandibuzz. But if you thought Great League Mandibuzz was bulky, Ultra League Mandibuzz is a whole new story. Firing off Dark Pulse after Dark Pulse, Lickilicky firing off the Body Slam. Body Slam is going to be getting this Mandibuzz into the red health. Mandibuzz is going to no shield. Lickilicky continuing to farm. Do we see a shield here? Yes. Lickilicky shielding up as Mandibuzz fires off the Dark Pulse. Lickilicky farming up, going for another Body Slam. This should come very close to knocking out. The Body Slam is going to connect, and plus a couple fast moves is able to get the KO. Is the opponent going to be sending in the Ampharos? No, they send in Skeledirge. Skeledirge will be met with a Shadow Ball, and this will hit for quite a lot of damage. Does the opponent respect it? They do not. That does so much damage. And now, I think you just send in the Ambipom. In comes the Ambipom. Did the opponent check the typing, or did they go for the Shadow Ball? They went for the Shadow Ball. Oh no! They get farmed down with Astonish, and the opponent concedes the match. All in all, big props to this trainer for running a very, very fun team. I don't think I've ever seen XL Lickilicky or XL Ambipom used, so a definite creative streak here and able to get some very fun wins as well. Ambipom and Lickilicky, I would say definitely more on the fun side of things than Mons that are great for climbing Elo, but man, getting to see Ambipom absolutely crush ghost types is absolutely hilarious. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been Home Slice Henry.